We're talking about more environmental leaders. In our video on Hazel M. Johnson, we talked about the mother of environmental justice. Did you know that there's a father as well? His name is Dr. Robert Bullard. My name is Isaias Hernandez, and this is Queer Brown Vegan. My platform is to bring you environmental education that's focusing on intersectional issues rather than ignoring them. If you like what you see here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps grow my channel and bring you more educational content. Dr. Robert Bullard has become known as the father of the environmental justice movement, and for a good reason. He's a professor, a former Marine, an author, and his list of accolades is extensive, including being part of the Biden administration's White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council and receiving the United Nations Environmental Program's Champions of Earth Lifetime Achievement. He's the director of his own org, the Bullard Center for Environmental and Climate Justice, and continues to contribute to this work. But what exactly did he do to get all of this recognitions? I'm glad you asked. In 1979, Dr. Bullard was wrapped up in an interesting court case. Out of nowhere, his wife Linda Bullard tells him, "Hey, I'm suing the state of Texas." She was representing Houston residents that were at risk at having a landfill placed by their homes. They alleged that this case cited civil rights violations because of those waste sites were being placed by. The residents of Northwood Manor neighborhood had a big question. Did you place this here because 82% of our neighborhood is black? Now, Dr. Bullard had just gotten his doctorate in sociology and in his role as an expert witness on the case. This was the first time that this case was challenging environmental racism with civil rights laws. While they would eventually lose the case, his discoveries would go on to shape his entire career. Dr. Robert Bullard's study solid waste sites in the Black Houston community changed everything. In Houston, there were 17 total toxic waste sites of some sort, like incinerators, garbage dumps, or landfills. And in his study, he found that almost all of them were in black neighborhoods. 14 out of the 17 sites were in black neighborhoods, despite a quarter of Houston's population being black. So while they were unable to win the specific case, they had found a problematic pattern, with Bullard himself saying that they won the war. It led to Bullard to ask, could this be applied somewhere else? By the way, the case wasn't a total loss. It did produce this research, and some zoning restrictions that made landfills be placed farther from schools helped. Bullard went on to black communities across the southern United States, eventually creating a foundational body of work. Dumping in Dixie, Race, Class, and Environmental Equality, which I read in college. This was the first book in environmental racism in the United States, and it didn't even come out as a textbook until 1990. Many at the time believed that the environment treats equally and rejected his work. Regardless, it came out, and ever since, Dr. Bullard has been committed to documenting and sharing about environmental racism across the US and have helped countless others correct past injustices. Famously, he helped assert the idea that your zip code is one of the biggest determinants of your health and well-being. His work has made its way to being virtually in all disciplines, and being recognized by our government, by international governments, and many individuals who have found their lives to improve as a result of these understandings. Dr. Robert Bullard maybe isn't the first name that comes to mind when you think about environment and who is represented today, but he certainly should be up there, and it's on us to tell these stories and to keep them alive, and others to make sure that their work is to continues to be cited. These sorts of understandings and the stories of where they came from can help us unravel the mysteries of our own journeys. My personal experiences meeting Dr. Robert Bullard was so amazing. First of all, I think a lot of the times as younger people, we can get a bit afraid from environmental justice elders. I think it is very important that everyone understands that first, acknowledging the work and also quoting them is super important for many environmentalists. The work I do as an environmental educator talking about intersectionality comes a lot from EJ elders who have helped pave the way. It's not a new thing. The second thing is I met him at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. He was on a panel with Dr. Beverly Wright and also Peggy Shepard from We Act for EJ. And it was such an amazing panel because I remember watching it. We were talking about environmental justice, and I asked a question like, how can younger individuals continue to be sure to help out EJ elders? And it was a really great time that I got to talk to him. I think it was really great to see that, EJ elders are finally getting their deserved flowers that they have, because the dominant environmental movement has often really not recognized them as true elders and leaders. And I can understand that at times people think, oh, the elders don't want to talk to me. I don't think it's that. I think that, elders at a very advanced stage levels of their life and their work and it's important for us to recognize that you can't just go up to someone and expect them to be your friend. You have to build an active relationship, especially because with a lot of Black communities and Black environmentalists, there's a lot of people who want to extract their culture, their research, their data, but don't want to know who they are. And I think it's important for us to recognize that environmental justice is not a divisive issue. It's really allowed us to illustrate and to be able to describe a lot of our pain. And when I learned about his work in undergrad college, like, I had known about the term environmental justice a bit, but when I delved into the work, it made me recognize that Black and Indigenous environmentalists have contributed such a large decades worth of academic research in these fields, and yet a lot of people were trying to dismiss their work. I can't imagine, to be honest, like what it would be like in the 1980s or 90s or early 2000s to continuously be discredited until now in the late 2010s and 2020s. Environmental justice has become a more popularized thing. I mean, if you look on Instagram, for example, the hashtag environmental justice, when I started on social media in 2018, the hashtag environmental justice maybe had like 1,000 or like 2,000 or less than 1,000, and now it has like, I don't know, 10,000, or like, it's like a lot of thousands of posts under the term environmental justice. And I still don't know to this day if people actually know what it means, or they're just talking about it through a planetary lens, when we know that it's focusing and highlighting that yes, it's for everyone, but acknowledging that Black and Indigenous and people of color live in high rates of environmental pollutants. So let us not forget that these elders are the ones that are going to continue paving the way for us, and that we should never feel embarrassed to ask for mentorship, to ask for resources, or to really engage in a critical dialogue to also help them. Is how are we showing up for our elders? And I think for me, I've dedicated my work to being a media creative so I can highlight these stories and to give resonance and to give semblance to people to know that these are the people that you should be following, not me. Follow them and support their work. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like the video, leave a comment with something you learned or topics you'd like for me to explore, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you saw. I want to know your thoughts. Have you met Dr. Robert Bullard? Have you learned about environmental justice? Let me know in the comments below.